Good morning to you all and welcome to this lecture 15. That is lecture 8 for chapter number 2. We have already completed the chapter and now it's turn to solve some numerical problems from our textbook. So here we are with the solutions to NCERT problems, chapter 2. Question 1, it says that there are two charges, 5 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb and minus 3 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb, separated by a distance 16 centimeter. At what point on the line joining the two charges is the electric potential is 0? Take the potential at infinity to be 0. So we all know that potential at infinity is 0. We need to find a point on the line joining the two charges. One is 5 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb and the other charge is minus 3 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb, at which the electrostatic potential is 0. So we need to find the location of that point. So these are the data that is given to us. Q1 is charged with 5 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb. Q2 is minus 3 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb. And the distance between the two charges is 16 centimeter. That can be written as 0.16 meter. So this is the data that we can write from the question. Now, let us take this thing that P be the point on the line joining the two charges at which the electric potential is 0. All right. And the situation can be visualized like this, that these are two charges, Q1 and Q2, which are separated by a distance R, which is equal to 16 centimeter. And we have taken a point P at a distance X from the charge Q1, such that the electrostatic potential at point P is 0. That's what we need to find this distance X. So this point P, it can either be on the line joining the two charges, between the two charges, or it can be outside the system. All right. So first we have taken the case when this point P, it is lying between the two charges. All right. So we need to find this X. At point P, we know that the electrostatic potential is 0. So we need to find the electrostatic potential at 0 and then equate it equal to 0. So according to the question, I can write it like this, that Vp is equal to 0. That is electrostatic potential at point P because of these two charges is 0. And we know that the electrostatic potential at point P is 1 because of the charge Q1 and the other one is because of the charge Q2. So I can break this Vp into two parts like this. That Vp is equal to electrostatic potential at point P because of charge Q1 plus electrostatic potential at point P because of charge Q2. So we need to find the individual potentials at point P because of the charges Q1 and Q2, and then we have to add them scalarly. Now we need to find the electrostatic potential at point P because of the charge Q1 and the electrostatic potential at point P because of the charge Q2. So we can do it like this, and then we can equate this Vp equal to 0 from our equation number 1, because we know this thing that at point P, the electrostatic potential is 0. All right. So let's write the formula for Vp because of charge Q1. So Vp because of charge Q1 is KQ1 upon R1, where R1 is the distance of point P from charge Q1. Similarly, the electrostatic potential at point P because of the charge Q2 is equal to KQ2 upon R2, where R2 is the distance of point P from charge Q2. So that's what we can write. Now put up the values of R1 and R2 as well as Q1 and Q2. We know Q1 is equal to 5 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb. Q2 is equal to minus 3 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb. We need to take the sign of the charge because electrostatic potential is a scalar quantity. So you can write it like this. In place of Q1, you can write 5 into 10 to the power minus 8. In place of Q2, you can write minus 3 into 10 to the power minus 8. And R1 is the distance of point P from charge Q1, that is equal to X. So you can write in place of R1, you can write X. And in place of R2, you can write R minus X. And the complete equation is equal to 0. K I have taken common. Now you need to solve for X from this equation. So we can easily do that. This K, then it will go into the denominator, it will vanish out. So you are left with this thing 5 into 10 to the power minus 8 divided by x minus 3 into 10 to the power minus 8 divided by r minus x is equal to 0. Now you take this term towards the right hand side. So the equation becomes like this. 5 into 10 to the power minus 8 upon x is equal to 3 into 10 to the power minus 8 divided by r minus x. You have to solve this equation. So we can easily be solving it out. Just cancel this 10 to the power minus 8 and 10 to the power minus 8 from both the sides. And we are left with 5 upon x is equal to 3 upon r minus x. That's what we are left with. Now cross multiply it and solve for x. Because we know the value of r. R value is given in the question, that is 16 centimeter. You already know that. So cross multiply it, you will be getting 5 multiplied by r minus x, that is equal to 3x. When we solve this bracket, we will be left with 5 r minus x is equal to 3x, that is 5r minus 5x is equal to 3x, and 5r is equal to 8x. Because with this minus 5x, it will go towards the right hand side, and 3x plus 5x is equal to 8x. You need to solve for x. X is equal to 5r by 8. The value of r is 16. Put the value of r over here, and you will be getting the value of x as 5 into 2, because this will cancel out 8 1 ja and 16, 8 2 ja 16. So 5 into 2, x will come out to be 10 centimeters. So this is the point at a distance of 10 centimeter from the charge q1, at which the electrostatic potential is 0 when the point lies between the two charges. There may be a possibility that this point P, it lies outside the system somewhere on the line joining these two charges. We can extend this line, and somewhat over here point P is lying. So that we'll be solving in the next slide. Please solve this equation, and if you are having some doubt, please ask. Now let this point P is outside the system of two charges as shown in figure. So you can see this is my figure, and in this figure q1 and q2, they are separated by a distance r, and r is equal to 16 centimeter, and this point P, it is at a distance x from my charge q1, and it is lying outside the system. It is not lying in between the two charges, but somewhere outside the line joining the two charges. All right. So it is over here. This distance, that is the distance of point P from charge q2, will be x minus r, because this complete distance is x. So this distance of point P from charge q2, it will be x minus r. Now let's solve for this x. So the procedure remains the same. According to the question, we know this, that the electrostatic potential at point P is equal to 0. This point P is such that the electrostatic potential at this point, because of these two charges, will be 0. And this Vp, we can write it as Vp because of charge q1, and electrostatic potential at point P because of charge q2. Now solve for these two and put the values. This Vp is equal to 0. So the second equation, I can equate it equal to 0 by using equation number 1. So this Vp is equal to electrostatic potential at point P because of charge q1 plus electrostatic potential at point P because of charge q2, and this complete equation is equal to 0. Now put the values of Vp q1 and Vp because of q2, that is kq1 upon r1 plus kq2 upon r2. Take k common and put the values of q1, q2, r1 and r2. q1 is your 5 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb. q2 is minus 3 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb. r1 is x, that is the distance of point P from charge q1, and r2 is x minus r, that is the distance of point P from charge q2. So put up these values. You are having this equation now, and you can easily be solving for x from this equation. This k will vanish out when it will go in the denominator of 0, and you are left with this thing, 5 into 10 to the power minus 8 divided by x minus 3 into 10 to the power minus 8 divided by x minus r, and it is equal to 0. Now take this term towards the right hand side, and the equation becomes this. This 10 to the power minus 8 gets cancelled out with this 10 to the power minus 8, and you are left with 5 upon x is equal to 3 upon x minus r. Cross multiply it and solve for x, because we already know the value of r that is given in the question. So you will be having this thing, that 5x minus, we need to solve this equation for x, and you can easily be solving it in this manner, that take this r towards the right hand side and x term towards the left hand side. So you will be left with 5r is equal to 2x, and x comes out to be 5r by 2. We know the value of r, that is 16 centimeter. Put the value of r over here, and you will be getting x is equal to 5 into 16 by 2. When you solve it out, the value of x comes out to be 40 centimeter. So this is the point which is at a distance of 40 centimeter from the positive charge Q1 that is lying outside the system of the charges. So there are two possible answers for the question. One, when the point P is lying in between the charges, at that the distance was 10 centimeter from the plus positive charge, and if the point P is lying outside the system of the charges, then it is 40 centimeter from this positive charge. I hope it is clear. So this is our problem number 2. It says that a regular hexagon of side 10 centimeter has a charge 5 microcoulomb at each of its vertices. Calculate the potential at the center of the hexagon. So we can draw the figure like this, that it is a regular hexagon, and at each of its vertices there lies a charge of 5 microcoulomb. So that's why I have written it plus Q. All right, the value of Q is 5 microcoulomb. We need to find the electrostatic potential at its center. So we just need to find the individual electrostatic potentials at point O because of the charges placed at the vertices A, B, C, D, E, and F, and then we have to add them. And the electrostatic potential at point O, because of the same charges that are present at A, B, C, and D, E, and F, they will be same because it's a regular hexagon, so that AO is equal to OB and it is also equal to OC and so on. All right, so we can calculate it like this, that the electrostatic potential at point O is given by, these are the individual potentials because of the charges present at vertices A, B, C, D, E, and F. So let's try to solve it. The distance OA is equal to OB is equal to OC is equal to OD is equal to OE is equal to OF, because it's a regular hexagon. So we can write that all these potentials, since the charges are same, as well as the distance at which we need to find the electrostatic potential is same, the electrostatic potentials, because of the individual charges, they are equal to each other. So we can write it like this, that the electrostatic potential at point O, that is equal to 6 times the electrostatic potential because of charge A at point O. So you can easily write it this. So just we need to find the electrostatic potential because at point O because of one charge, and then we can multiply it 6 times. All right. So you'll be having this one. V naught is equal to 6 KQ upon OA. Value of K you know, that is 9 into 10 to the power 9. Q value is given in the question, that is 5 into 10 to the power minus 6. And OA is the distance of this point A. OA is the distance of point O from vertex A. So that is equal to 10 centimeter because it's a regular hexagon. All right. So you can write it like this. You need to convert this centimeter into meter first. So in place of K, I have written 9 into 10 to the power 9. In place of Q, I have written 5 into 10 to the power minus 6. And in place of OA, I have written 10 multiplied by 10 to the power minus 2 because centimeter needed to be converted into meters. When you solve it out, you will be getting this thing. Once the power will be solved, you will be getting this thing. And when you solve it out, it will be 270 into 10 to the power 4. That is equal to 2.7 into 10 to the power 6 volt. All right. So this is how we can find out the electrostatic potential at point O because of the charges present at the vertices of the regular hexagon. Let's take another problem. That is question number 3. It says that two charges, 2 microcoulomb and minus 2 microcoulomb, are placed at points A and B 6 centimeter apart. Identify an equipotential surface of the system and what is the direction of the electric field at every point on this system. So the situation can be represented like this. There are two charges, 2 microcoulomb and minus 2 microcoulomb. They are separated by distance 6 centimeters. All right, since these charges are equal and opposite, we need to find a equipotential surface to the system. So the equipotential surface to the system will be a plane on which the total potential is 0 everywhere, and this plane is normal to the line AB. So you can draw it like this. So this is a plane which is having an potential 0 all over the surface, and it is lying exactly at the midpoint of the line joining the two charges, because the magnitude of the two charges is same. If the magnitude of the charges were not same, then it will be shifted either towards one of the sides towards which the electrostatic potential is more. All right. So it will be shifted towards that one. But now when the charges are having equal and opposite magnitudes, so it will be lying exactly on the midpoint on the line joining the two charges. And we all know that from a surface, the direction of the electric field will always be normal to the surface. So this will be the direction of the electric field. That is normal to the surface, and it will be from the positive charge towards the negative charge. All right. So always the electric field will move from the positive charge towards the negative charge. So this is the direction of electrostatic potential. And this is what you need to draw in this question. Just draw an equipotential surface. That is a surface which is having an potential 0 everywhere on it and perpendicular to the line AB. This is a plane surface. You can draw it like this. And anything that is the direction of the electric field will be perpendicular to this surface from the positive charge towards the negative charge. So this is how you need to represent it. It's a theoretical question, more of a theoretical question kind, rather than a practical one. You don't need to solve up the values and all that. Now let's move towards the fourth question. It says a spherical conductor of radius 12 centimeter has a charge of 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 7 centimeter distributed uniformly on its surface. We need to find the electric field inside the surface, just outside the sphere, and at a point 18 centimeter from the center of the sphere. Actually, this question, it requires the formula from the previous discussion that we have discussed in the applications of the Gauss's law. But only the first part, it will be solved out by the discussion that we have carried out in chapter number 2. So the first part is, we know that electric field inside a spherical conductor is 0. That I've told you that electric field cannot exist inside a charged conductor. All right, we know this because there will be the induction of the charges and there will be a creation of equal and opposite electric field inside the conductor that will cancel out the external electric field. So the net electric field inside the sphere will be 0. The first part, we can answer it in this manner by the knowledge of the behavior of the conductor when they are placed in an external electric field. We need to find the electric field in part B just outside the sphere. So it is given by the formula kq upon r square, where r is the radius of the sphere. So just put the values. K is 9 into 10 to the power 9. Q, the value is given 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 7. And r is 12 centimeter. You have to square it after converting it to meters. So 12 into 10 to the power minus 2 with a square. First, I have converted this 12 centimeter into meters by multiplying it by 10 to the power minus 2, and then I have taken a square of it because r square is there in the formula itself. When you solve it out, it will be like this: 9 into 10 to the power 9 multiplied by 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 7 divided by 12 square is 144, and 10 to the power minus 2 square is 10 to the power minus 4. Now you have to solve it. First, cancel up the powers of the 10. So you will be left with 9 into 10 to the power 6 multiplied by 1.6 divided by 144. So this 144 is not multiplied with. So you can solve it out in this manner, that this 144, when you cancel it with 9, it will be equal to 9 multiplied by 16. So it will be 16, and here 1 will be there. This 16 will cancel out with this 1.6. So you are left with only 10 to the power 5. All right. So what I have done in this one, I have taken 110 from this 10 to the power 6 and given it to 1.6. So it will become 10 to the power 5 multiplied by 16 upon 16. Cancel it out. You are left with 10 to the power 5 Newton per Coulomb. So this is the value of the electric field just outside the spherical conductor. All right. That is 10 to the power 5 Newton per Coulomb. Very simple one. Just you need to put up the values in this formula and solve. The solution I have already given you. You can easily be solving it out. All right. More of maths is involved in this one. Now, let's take the part C of the question. We need to find the electric field at a point 18 centimeter from the center of the sphere. All right. So this is our part C, that electric field outside the spherical conductor at a distance d, it is given by the relation E is equal to kq by d square, and the value of d is 18 centimeter. That is equal to 18 multiplied by 10 to the power minus 2 meter. You just need to put the values of k, q and d square and solve. After putting the values of k, q and d, the equation becomes like this. That is equal to 9 into 10 to the power 9 multiplied by 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 7 divided by 18 into 10 to the power minus 2 whole square. After solving it, we'll be getting like this. 9 into 10 to the power 9 multiplied by 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 7 divided by 18 multiplied by 18, because 18 square is there, multiplied by 10 to the power minus 4. Now you can solve this 18 with this 9. So you will be having like this. And after solving the powers of 10, it is 10 to the power 6 multiplied by 1.6 divided by 2 multiplied by 18. All right. When you solve it out, you will be left with 4 upon 9 into 10 to the power 5. All right. When you solve this one, it will be 0.44 into 10 to the power 5. And after writing it in proper scientific notation, you can write it like 4.4 into 10 to the power 4 Newton per Coulomb. So this is the value of the electric field at a distance 18 centimeter from the center of the sphere. And we can see this, that as we are moving away from the surface, the value of this electric field is decreasing. So earlier the value was, you can see, the value was 10 to the power 5 Newton per Coulomb. But now when we have moved away from the center of the sphere, the value has come out to be 4.4 into 10 to the power 4 Newton per Coulomb. And we know this, that as we move away from the surface of the spherical conductor, which is charged, the value of the electric field will decrease. Let's take question number 5. It says that a parallel plate capacitor with air between the plates has a capacitance of 8 picofarad. 1 picofarad, it is equal to 10 to the power minus 12 farad. What will be the capacitance if the distance between the plates is reduced by half and the space between them is filled with a substance of dielectric constant 6? So we all know this, that when we insert a dielectric slab between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor, its capacitance will increase. And if we completely fill the space between the plates by the dielectric slab, the capacitance will be multiplied by the dielectric constant of the slab, that we know. So we can solve it like this. The capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor with the vacuum between the plates, that is C naught, it is given by epsilon naught A by D, and the value is given as 8 picofarad. We know this. Now, the distance between the plate is reduced to half. Then the new distance D dash, it becomes D by 2. So now the plates, they are moved very closer to each other, which is at a new distance D dash, that is equal to D by 2. We have to put this D dash in the formula of the new capacitance. So the new capacitance C dash, it is equal to what? K epsilon naught A divided by D dash. Because when we insert a dielectric slab of dielectric constant K, the capacitance get multiplied by K. And also now we are having a new distance, that is D dash. So that's why we have put a new distance over here, that is d dash. In place of this d dash, I can write d by 2. That's what I can write. So new capacitance C dash, it becomes K epsilon naught A divided by d by 2. This 2 will go into the numerator. The value of C dash, it becomes 2K epsilon naught A by d. And we know the value of this epsilon naught A by d, that is C naught. In place of this epsilon naught A by d, I can write C naught. So I can write it like this. C dash is equal to 2K multiplied by C naught, where C naught is the capacitance when only vacuum was there in between the plates. In place of this epsilon naught A by d, I have written C naught because this is the value of C naught. Now I know the value of C naught, that is 8 picofarad. I know the value of K, that is 6. It is given in the question. You can easily find the value of C dash, that is 2 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 8, and it comes out to be C dash is equal to 96 picofarad. So the new capacitance, it becomes 96 picofarad. So this is our question number 6. It says 3 capacitors, each of capacitances 9 picofarad, are connected in series. We need to find the total capacitance of the combination and also the potential difference across each capacitor if the combination is connected to a 120 volt supply. Very simple question. Just you need to apply the C equivalent formula. When the capacitances are connected in series, the equivalent capacitance is given by this relation. 1 upon C equivalent is equal to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2 plus 1 upon C3. Put the values of C1, C2 and C3. They are equal to 9 picofarad only. You can write it like this. That is equal to 1 by 9 plus 1 by 9 plus 1 by 9. And 1 upon C equivalent, it comes out to be 3 by 9. It is not the value of C equivalent. It is the value of 1 upon C equivalent. So in order to get the value of C equivalent, you need to take the reciprocal of this. So it will be 3 picofarad. It becomes 1 by 3 and C equivalent, it becomes equal to 3 picofarad. So this is the total capacitance of the combination. Now we know this, that these capacitors which are connected in series, they have been connected to a voltage of 100 volt. Sorry, it is 120 volt. All right. So please make a correction in this one. It is given over here that it is 120 volt. So 120 volt potential difference is applied across the combination. Since the capacitance of each capacitor is equal, so we need to do it like this, that the potential drop across each capacitor will be the same. All right. So that is V1 is equal to V2 is equal to V3 because the capacitance is same. So now this 120 volt is getting divided into 3 equal parts. So across each capacitor, we'll be having 120 divided by 3, that is equal to 40 volt. All right. So V1 is equal to 40 volt. The same 40 volt is across the second capacitor and the same 40 volt is across the third capacitor because the capacitances of each of these capacitors are same. We know in series, the charge store will be the same. All right. But because of the capacitance, difference in capacitance, there will be different voltage drops. But now when the capacitances are same, the voltage drop across each of the capacitor will be the same. That's why across V1, V2 and V3, we will be having only 40 volts. All right. So this is how we need to proceed for the part B. Question number 7. It says this thing, the 3 capacitors of capacitances 2 picofarad, 3 picofarad and 4 picofarad are connected in parallel. What is the total capacitance of the combination? And determine the charge on each capacitor if the combination is connected to a 100 volt supply. So first we need to find the equivalent capacitance. It is very simple one, even simpler than the previous one because the capacitors are connected in parallel. When they are connected in parallel, the equivalent capacitance is just the addition of the individual capacitances. So C equivalent is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3 and it is equal to 9 picofarad. Just you have to add them up. So therefore the total capacitance of the combination, it comes out to be 9 picofarad. Now we need to find the charge on each of these capacitors. Since the value of the capacitances for these 3 capacitors are different, So there will be different amount of charge that will be stored on the plates of these capacitors because of this 100-volt supply. The voltage drop across each of these capacitors is 100 volt only, because in parallel the potential difference remains the same. So let's proceed. The charge on a capacitor that is having a value of capacitance C and the potential difference across it is capital V is given by Q is equal to V multiplied by C. We know this. So we'll be applying this only. The charge on the first capacitor C1, it is given by Q1, that is equal to C1 into V. The value of C1 is 2 picofarad and V is 100 volt. We know this. Just put the values. In place of C1, you can write 2 into 10 to the power minus 12. Pico is 10 to the power minus 12. And V is the voltage that you have applied, because in parallel, the voltage is same across each of the capacitors. It will become 2 into 10 to the power minus 10 coulomb. That can also be written as 200 picocoulomb. So if you want to make this power as minus 12, you need to write it as 200. All right. Again, charge on the second capacitor C2, it is given by Q2 is equal to C2 into V. C2 is the capacitance of the second capacitor. So it will be Q2 is equal to 3 picofarad multiplied by 100. That will be 3 into 10 to the power minus 10 coulomb. That is equal to 300 picocoulomb. All right. Now we need to find the charge on third capacitor C3, and it is given by Q3 is equal to C3 into V. Put the value of C3, that is 4 picofarad, and the value of V is 100. You will be getting Q3 is equal to 4 into 10 to the power minus 10 coulomb. That is equal to 400 picocoulomb. So this is how you can find out the charge stored on each of these capacitors. If in this question, if one additional question was given to you, like that, what will be the total charge given by the battery? So that will be the sum of Q1, Q2 and Q3. That will be equal to 400 plus 300 plus 200, that is equal to 900 picocoulomb. All right. So this much amount of charge is given by the battery. That is the charge present on the individual capacitors. You need to sum them up. All right. So that is the amount of charge given by the battery. That is the sum of the charges present on the capacitors individually connected in parallel. All right. Question number 8, it says that in a parallel plate capacitor with air between the plates, each plate has an area of 6 into 10 to the power minus 3 meters square. This is the value of A. And the distance between the plate is 3 millimeter. This is the value of D. Calculate the capacitance of the capacitor. We need to find the value of C. If this capacitor is connected to a 100 volt supply, what is the charge on each plate of the capacitor? Let's see this. We know when the vacuum is present between the plates, the capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor is given by this relation. C naught is equal to epsilon naught A by D. Just put the values of epsilon naught A and D from the question in this equation. Epsilon naught is 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12. Value of A is 6 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter square. And this is 3 millimeter. You need to convert it into meter. That will be 3 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter. Put these values. In place of epsilon naught, I have written 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12. In place of A, 6 into 10 to the power minus 3. And in place of T, 3 into 10 to the power minus 3. So this 10 to the power minus 3 get cancelled out with this 10 to the power minus 3. This 3 will cancelled out with this 6. We'll be having 2 over here. And you will be left with C naught is equal to 2 into 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12. And that is equal to 17.7 into 10 to the power minus 12 picofarad. So you can write 17.7 picofarad, or you can write 17.7 into 10 to the power minus 12. Now we need to find the capacitance, the charge on the plates of the capacitor when it is connected to 100 volt supply. Battery is this one. The charge we know, the value of the charge is given by Q is equal to CV. We know the formula. The value of C we have just find out, that is 17.7 picofarad. That is 17.7 multiplied by 10 to the power minus 12. And when you multiply the capacitance with the voltage, you will be getting the value of charge. So charge will be this one. You can write it as 1.77 into 10 to the power minus 9 coulomb. That is equal to 1.77 nanocoulomb. I hope this is clear. We have used this formula, Q is equal to CV. All right. So in place of C, I have written 17.7 picofarad, and in place of V, I have written the battery of the value of the battery voltage, that is 100 volt. All right. So you will be left with this after solving it. Q is equal to 1.77 into 10 to the power minus 9 coulomb. This 2.9, it says that explain what would happen if we insert a dielectric slab in between the plates of the capacitor that was given in exercise 2.8. The thickness of this plate is 3 millimeter and the dielectric constant is 6. All right. And we are inserting this dielectric slab with two conditions. First condition is given to us that the battery remain connected to the capacitor, and the second condition is that we have first charged the capacitor with the battery of 100 volts that we have done in the exercise 2.8, and then we have removed the battery and then we have inserted the dielectric slab. So we can insert the dielectric slab in two ways. One, when the battery is still connected and we are inserting it. All right. And second one is that we have charged the capacitor with the supply voltage, and then we have removed the voltage, and then we are inserting the dielectric slab. All right. So both the things we need to do, and it is really very important to understand this one. The capacitance of parallel plate capacitor with the dielectric slab having dielectric constant K is C is equal to K epsilon naught A by D. All right. We know this. Epsilon naught A by D is C naught, and this K is 6. We know the value of K is 6. The value of C naught we have just obtained in exercise 2.8, that is 17.7 picofarad. So in place of this C naught, I can write 17.7 picofarad. All right. Value of new capacitance when we insert a dielectric slab in between the plates of the capacitor, it comes out to be 106 picofarad. All right. So this is what we have obtained. We all know that when we insert a dielectric slab between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor, its capacitance will increase. So earlier it was 17.7 and now it has increased to 106 picofarad. All right. The capacitance is increased. It means that now the capacitor can store more charge. Its capacity is increased now. When we have inserted the dielectric slab, the capacitance increases. It means now it has the capacity to store more charge. Earlier, when we have not inserted the dielectric slab, then it has stored a charge of 1.77 nanocoulomb. All right. But now it can store more charge. From where that charge will come? It will come from the supply voltage, that is the battery. All right. So this battery will provide the charge. The capacity is increased by the insertion of the dielectric slab. But now the battery will provide the charge. So in part A, the battery is still connected over there. When the battery is connected, the capacity is increased. It can supply some more charge. So let's find that if the supply voltage remains connected, the voltage between the plates will be constant. And we know when we have connected the supply voltage with the same 100 volt, the voltage between the plates will be 100 only, because that's what we have done. So in order to maintain that 100 voltage, what the supply battery will do, it will supply up the charge. All right. So the charge can be calculated on the plates of the capacitor like this, that Q1 is equal to CV. C was 106 picofarad because the capacity is increased now. The capacitance has increased. And the voltage was 100 volt only because you have connected the supply voltage with 100 volt and you have not disconnected it at all. It remained connected. So in place of V, I can write 100. So the charge stored, it comes out to be 1.06 into 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb, or you can say 106 into 10 to the power minus 10 coulomb. All right. So this is the charge stored on the plates of the parallel plate capacitor when you insert a dielectric slab of dielectric constant 6 and you have not disconnected the battery. The battery was still connected to it so that it can easily be giving it more charge. All right. So this is the case one, very simple one. Now let's try to figure it out that what will happen that if we insert the dielectric slab after disconnecting the battery. All right. So what we have done, we have taken the parallel plate capacitor, we have connected it to a supply voltage that is 100 volt, and now we have disconnected this voltage. So now the capacitor is charged and the battery is disconnected. But when the battery is disconnected, it means this thing that there is nothing, no device was there to supply up the charge now. But you have increased the capacity by inserting the dielectric slab. So the capacitance will increase. The capacitance will be the same one. It will be 106 picofarad because the insertion of dielectric slab with the dielectric constant K, it will increase the capacitance K times. So the capacity is increased and the new capacitance had become 106 picofarad. Now voltage is removed. All right. So when the voltage is removed, the charge that was earlier stored on the plates of the capacitor, it will remain intact. No new charge can be stored because there is no source of charge. You have already disconnected the battery. So in this case, Q remains constant. But when Q remains constant and C is increased, it means this thing that there is a change in the value of V. All right. So charge on the plate of the capacitor, before inserting the slab, we have calculated it, this one, that is 1.77 nanocoulomb. From our exercise 2.8, we have calculated it. All right. So before inserting the dielectric slab, the charge was 1.77 into 10 to the power minus 9 coulomb, and it will remain the same. Because now when you have increased the capacity, there is no supply voltage to give the charge. So it will remain same. The potential across the plate is now gets changed. That can be calculated V equal to Q by C. In place of Q, you can write the charge that was stored on the plate. But now the capacitance, it has changed to value C. Earlier it was C naught, but you have inserted a dielectric slab. It has become C. Put the value over here. When you solve it out, V comes out to be 16.7 volt. All right. So this is how you need to proceed in this question. Question number 10, it says a 12 picofarad capacitor is connected to a 50 volt battery. How much electrostatic energy is stored in the capacitor? We know the electrostatic energy is given by E is equal to half CV square. The value of C is 12 picofarad. The value of V is 50 volt. All right. So that is equal to this one. E is equal to half CV square. In place of V, you can write 50 volt. In place of C, you can write 12 into 10 to the power minus 12. All right. So it becomes equal to 6 into 10 to the power minus 12 multiplied by 2500. All right. When you solve it out, you will be having 1.5 into 10 to the power minus 8 joule, or you can write 15 into 10 to the power minus 9 joule. That is 15 nanojoule. All right. Very simple question. Just you have to put the values that are given in the question in the formula is equal to half CV square. The question 2.11, it says that there is a 600 picofarad capacitor. It is charged by 200 volt supply. It is then disconnected from the supply and connected to another uncharged 600 picofarad capacitor. How much electrostatic energy is lost in the process? All right. So electrostatic energy stored in the capacitor is given by the relation is equal to half CV square. First, try to find out the electrostatic energy when you charge the capacitor of capacitance 60 picofarad with voltage 200 volt. You can easily be writing E1, that is equal to half CV square. In place of C, 600 picofarad. In place of D, 200. When you solve it out, it is E1 is equal to 12 into 10 to the power minus 6 joule. All right. E1 is equal to 12 into 10 to the power minus 6 joule. So this is the electrostatic energy that was stored earlier. Now what you have done, you have disconnected it from the power supply and connected it, the capacitor, to an uncharged capacitor of the same capacitance. All right. So what will happen? From this charged capacitor, charge will flow to this uncharged capacitor, and they are of same value, so equal amount of charge will be distributed. We need to find the equivalent capacitance of the combination of these two charges. All right. So the equivalent capacitance of the combination of these two capacitors, it can be given like this: 1 upon C equivalent is equal to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2. All right. And it will come out to be 300 picofarad. So now when you have connected these two capacitors, the equivalent capacitance come out to be 300 picofarad. Now the new electrostatic energy we need to calculate for this combination. The new electrostatic energy will be half C equivalent into V square. All right. V was same, that is 200 volt, because they are in they are having the same value, so they will be having the same potential difference across it. So when you solve it out, it comes out to be 6 into 10 to the power minus 6 joule. Now the loss in energy is E1 minus E2. So earlier the energy was E1, and now after connecting this capacitor to the uncharged capacitor, the new energy comes out to be 6 into 10 to the power minus 6. Loss in energy is E1 minus E2. That will come out to be 6 into 10 to the power minus 6 joule. All right. So this is the electrostatic energy loss in the process. That is 6 into 10 to the power minus 6 joule. For better understanding of the text, you can solve the following questions from the additional exercise of the NCERT. So please try to solve these questions. That's all that I want to discuss in today's class. Thank you very much for joining up the class. Stay safe, stay blessed. Thank you very much.